There is a specific kind of peace that only exists inside a car at night. The world outside the windshield is a vast indigo mystery, but inside the cabin of the 1975 station wagon, it is a sanctuary of warm vinyl and glowing green needles. We aren't in a hurry tonight. The interstate is for people with places to be. We've taken the state road, the long way home, where the curves of the earth dictate the pace of the journey. The air inside the car carries the scent of the era. It's the smell of the heavy blue upholstery, a mixture of fabric and foam that has spent the day soaking up the sun and is now releasing a dry, comforting warmth. Beneath that is the faint mechanical perfume of the road, a hint of gasoline, the metallic tang of the heater core, and the earthy scent of the damp pavement outside, pulling through the wing windows. Ah, the wing windows. You reach out and turn the small chrome latch. It's a solid, heavy movement, no plastic here, and as you angle the glass, a narrow blade of night air slices into the cabin. It's cold and sharp, smelling of pine needles and distant wood smoke. It whistles just a fraction, a high-pitched companion to the baritone growl of the V8 engine beneath the long steel hood. Your hands rest on the steering wheel, a thin, hard circle of textured plastic with a chrome horn ring. It feels honest in your grip. Every vibration of the road travels up through the steering column and into your palms. You feel the grit of the asphalt, the slight dip of the shoulder, and the rhythmic thrum, thrum, thrum as the tires pass over the tar-filled cracks in the old highway. The dashboard is a gallery of glowing emerald. The speedometer needle, a steady sliver of orange, hangs right at 45 miles per hour. It doesn't flicker, it floats. Beside it, the analog clock makes a tiny rhythmic click every 60 seconds, a mechanical heartbeat that seems to pace itself with the rotation of the tires. And then there is the radio. It's a heavy two-knob unit set into the faux wood grain of the dash. The tuning dial is a soft, buttery yellow. As you turn the right-hand knob, you feel the oily resistance of the string and pulley system moving the needle across the frequencies. You pass through the static, a white noise wash that sounds like a distant waterfall until you find it. A clear, local AM station. The signal is warm and compressed, the voice of the late-night announcer sounding like he's sitting right there in the passenger seat, weary and wise. The light from the dash reflects in the side window, a ghostly green map of the interior. Outside, the world is a series of brief, illuminated moments. A white-painted fence post flashes by in the headlights. A reflective road sign flares with a sudden silver brilliance before vanishing back into the dark. The telephone poles pass by with a rhythmic vertical frequency, their cross arms looking like silent wooden sentinels watching your progress. In the back seat, the heavy wool blankets are piled high, their weight a silent presence in the rearview mirror. There is a thermos on the floor mat, a ribbed plastic cylinder that holds the last of the evening's coffee. If you were to unscrew the cup, the steam would rise in a slow, swirling column, smelling of roasted beans and cream, a warm contrast to the chill of the night air coming through the wing window. The car feels like a vessel, a small, illuminated island drifting through a dark sea. The headlights cut 2 tunnels of amber light into the gloom, revealing the textures of the world, the rough bark of the oaks lining the road, the shimmering surface of a puddle, and the way the fog clings to the low spots in the meadows. There is no rush. The house is waiting, the driveway is empty, and the night is wide. We are just moving through the dark, listening to the hum of the tires and the breath of the engine. The road is long, the seat is soft, and the way home is exactly where we belong. Everything is calibrated, everything is heavy. The world is quiet, and the journey is just beginning. The road has a way of hypnotizing the spirit, a steady diet of white lines and asphalt that eventually asks for a pause. You see the sign ahead, a simple unlit wooden marker caught in the fringe of your high beams. Wayside rest. You turn the thin plastic wheel, and the car transitions from the smooth hum of the highway to the coarse, rhythmic crunch of a gravel turnout. As the car comes to a stop, you don't turn the engine off immediately. You let it idle. There is a profound comfort in the sound of a well-tuned engine in the middle of nowhere, a low-frequency, mechanical heartbeat that vibrates through the bench seat and into the base of your spine. It is the sound of potential, of a machine that is ready to carry you another 1,000 miles, yet is content to sit here in the dark. The headlights reach out across a fallow field, illuminating the tall, dry stalks of autumn grass that shiver in the exhaust's heat. Beyond the reach of the light, the world is an absolute velvet black. You reach for the light switch, a heavy pull-style knob on the dash, and with a solid click, the world vanishes. The darkness that rushes in is total. For a moment, your eyes struggle to adjust, and the only thing you can see is the dim, green glow of the dashboard clock and the tiny red pinprick of the cigar lighter. The silence of the field begins to press against the car windows, a vast, heavy quiet that makes the ticking of the cooling engine manifold sound like a series of sharp, metallic gunshots. Tink, tink, tink. You reach for the chrome door handle. It is cold, a stark contrast to the warmth of the cabin. As you push the door open, the interior dome light flickers on, casting a soft yellow glow over the blue vinyl. The air that enters the car is shocking, crisp, clean, and smelling deeply of the earth. It carries the scent of wet stone, the sharp tang of a coming frost, and the sweet, decaying aroma of fallen leaves. Stepping out onto the gravel, your boots make a loud, authoritative sound in the stillness. You lean back against the heavy steel of the fender, and the metal is still warm from the journey. Looking up, the sky is a masterpiece of the analog age. Without the glare of the city, the stars are thick and brilliant, looking like a handful of silver grain scattered across a dark cloth. The Milky Way is a visible, misty river, a reminder of the scale of the journey we are all on. There is a specific kind of peace here. Away from the hum of the tires and the drone of the radio, you can hear the small sounds of the night. The dry rustle of the wind through the corn husks, the distant rhythmic hoo-hoo of an owl in the woodlot across the road. And then, from miles away, the sound of the world's momentum, a distant freight train. The whistle is a thin, lonely thread of sound that weaves through the trees, a long, fading note that speaks of heavy iron moving through the dark. It is followed by the low, subterranean rumble of the boxcars, a vibration you feel in the gravel beneath your boots more than you hear with your ears. It is a grounding sound. It tells you that even here, in this silent turnout, the world is connected, moving in a slow, industrial rhythm toward the morning. The car gives a final settling clunk as the metal contracts in the cold air. You reach for the thermos you brought from the floor mat. The plastic cup is warm in your hands, and the steam from the coffee rises to meet the cold night air, disappearing into the starlight. This is the unremarkable beauty of the long way home. It's the pause between the going and the arriving. It's the smell of the cold field, the warmth of the engine, and the heavy weight of the darkness. There is no clock to punch here, no schedule to keep. There is only the road, the car, and the deep, honest silence of the wayside. Everything is steady, everything is grounded. The night is halfway through, and the car is waiting to take us the rest of the way. Leaving the wayside rest behind, the car glides back onto the two-lane highway, the transition from gravel to asphalt feeling like a ship entering deep, calm water. The headlights once again become the only reality, twin tunnels of amber light that lead us toward the edge of a small town. This is the hour when a town isn't a place of business or bustle, but a collection of brick and glass breathing in the dark. As we reach the outskirts, the speed limit signs begin to drop, 55 to 45, then down to 30. You feel it in the car. You lift your foot from the heavy steel pedal, and the engine's roar drops into a low, contented hum. The transmission shifts with a soft internal clunk, and suddenly the rhythm of the journey changes. You aren't cutting through the landscape anymore. You are drifting through it. In the center of the first intersection hangs a single yellow caution light. It is the rhythmic heartbeat of the town. It doesn't change from red to green. It simply pulses. Flash, pause, flash, pause. Each pulse of yellow light washes over the hood of the car, reflecting off the chrome wipers and the dashboard glass before fading back into the indigo dark. It is a slow, hypnotic signal that says, slow down. You are here. The world is at rest. The main street is a canyon of mid-century brick. The storefronts stand shoulder to shoulder, their large plate glass windows acting as dark mirrors for the passing car. In the moonlight, you can see the shapes of the displays, the silent mannequins in the department store, the stacked boxes in the hardware shop, and the row of empty stools at the lunch counter. There is a profound honesty to these buildings. They are made of heavy materials, fired clay, cast iron, and thick, leaded glass. They have a physical presence that modern architecture lacks. As the tyres move from the asphalt onto the original brick pavers of the square, the sound of the journey changes. It is no longer a shh of the road. It is a rhythmic, percussive thrum, thrum, thrum. It's a sound that vibrates through the steering column and into your fingertips, a tactile reminder of the generations of wheels that have passed over these same stones. The air in the town is different from the open fields. It carries a layered history of smells. As you pass the bakery, there is the ghost of a scent, the sweet, yeasty aroma of dough that has been rising in the dark since midnight. It is a warm, organic smell that suggests the morning is already being prepared, even while the rest of the world sleeps. Then comes the scent of the hardware store, a mixture of linseed oil, cold steel, and the dry, woody aroma of cedar shavings. These aren't just smells. They are sensory hooks that pull you back into the memory of every Saturday morning spent in rooms just like these. You pull the car to the curb and let it idle in front of the old cinema. The engine's low-frequency lope echoes off the brick walls, a steady, baritone heartbeat. The marquee of the theatre is dark now, the plastic letters spelling out a title that was important yesterday, but is now just a collection of shapes in the gloom. The ticket booth, a small island of glass and brass, sits empty. If you were to reach out and touch the glass of the car window, it would be cold and vibrating slightly with the engine's rhythm. The interior of the car is a sanctuary of glowing green dials. The radio is still playing that low, late-night AM signal. The voice of the announcer now a soft, hushed whisper that seems to respect the silence of the town outside. He's playing a song with a slow, wandering bass line, a melody that feels like it was written specifically for a man sitting in a 1975 station wagon on a silent main street. Way off in the distance, past the silos at the edge of town, the freight train makes its presence known again. This time, the whistle is louder, reflecting off the brick storefronts and the high tin ceilings of the shops. It's a long, mournful woo that carries the weight of the night. You can hear the rhythmic clack, 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 clack of the wheels on the rails, a mechanical percussion that defines the industrial soul of the town. It is a grounding sound, a reminder that the world's momentum never truly stops, even when the lights go out. A single street lamp overhead hums with a high-pitched electric vibration, a tiny buzzing sound that you only notice because the rest of the world is so quiet. The light it casts is a pale, sickly purple-white, turning the hood of your car into a silver landscape. A moth, confused by the light, dances in the glow, its wings making a soft, dry, papery sound against the glass of the lamp. There is a profound peace in being the only person awake in a town that sleeps. You feel like a ghost in a machine, an observer of a world that is held in stasis. The car is your bubble, a warm, vinyl-scented island of light in a sea of indigo brick. You shift the car back into drive. The transmission gives a soft, pressurized thump, and you begin to move again, leaving the brick square behind. The speed limit signs begin to climb, 30, 45, then back to 55. The town fades in the rearview mirror, its single yellow blinker continuing its rhythmic pulse, watching over the silent shops until the sun comes to wake them. The road is long, the engine is steady, and we are moving toward the final stretch. The house is getting closer, the air is getting colder, and the rest is deepening with every mile. The small town is now a dim glow in the rearview mirror, a collection of yellow lights receding into the indigo haze. We have turned off the state highway and onto the county lanes, the narrow, winding arteries that follow the natural contours of the land. Here, the road isn't a straight line. It's a conversation with the hills and the creeks. The car feels more intimate now, its headlights dancing across the thick trunks of ancient oaks and the silver-grey bark of sycamores that lean over the pavement like a protective canopy. The air has changed again. We are descending into the river valley, and the temperature gauge on the dash, a thin white needle behind a curved lens of dust-specked plastic, dips just a fraction. You can see the mist rising from the low spots in the meadows. It isn't a thick fog, but a delicate spectral veil that clings to the ground, turning the world into a dreamscape of charcoal and silver. As the car moves through these pockets of cold air, you can feel the engine breathe deeper. The V8 responds with a crisp, rhythmic growl that sounds cleaner, sharper, as it draws in the oxygen-rich night. You reach for the heater control, a series of sliding silver levers set into the forward grain. Moving them requires a deliberate, heavy push, a mechanical movement that ends with a satisfying thump as the internal flapper doors shift the airflow. The scent of the heater is one of the great comforts of a 1970s road trip. It's the smell of warm dust, old insulation, and the faint, sweet aroma of antifreeze. A dry, toasted heat that fills the cabin and makes the world outside seem even colder and more mysterious. The steering requires more attention here. There is a slight play in the thin plastic wheel, a mechanical looseness that is characteristic of the era's power steering. You have to feel the road through the vibrations. As you navigate a sharp S-curve near the creek, the weight of the car shifts. You feel the heavy steel body lean on its springs, a slow, rhythmic sway that feels like the motion of a large boat on a calm lake. The tires give a soft, rhythmic chirp as they find the edge of the asphalt, a sound that is immediately swallowed by the vast, damp silence of the woods. Suddenly, the headlights catch a pair of brilliant glowing orbs at the edge of the wood. A red fox. It stands perfectly still, its fur looking like a patch of orange fire against the dark green of the ferns. For a split second, your world and its world intersect. You see the twitch of its black-tipped ears and the intelligent, inquisitive tilt of its head before it vanishes into the shadows with a fluid, silent grace. The encounter leaves a lingering sense of wonder, a reminder that the night belongs to the wild, and you are merely a guest passing through in a shell of glass and iron. As we cross the old iron truss bridge over the river, the sound of the journey reaches its most musical stage. The tires move from the asphalt onto the open steel grating of the bridge deck. The sound is a high-pitched, metallic singing, a rhythmic whir-hum-whir that vibrates through the entire frame of the car and into the soles of your feet. Below, the river is a dark, moving mirror, reflecting the stars and the white silhouettes of the sycamores. The smell of the water rises to meet you, a deep, cold, mineral scent of wet stone and moss, a fragrance as old as the valley itself. Inside the car, the AM radio signal is starting to drift. The late-night announcer's voice is being joined by the rhythmic crackle and pop of atmospheric static, a reminder of the hundreds of miles that lie between the transmitter and your dashboard. Instead of fighting it, you let the static become part of the soundscape. It sounds like a distant fire, a comforting white noise wash that fills the gaps between the songs. The dashboard clock makes its microscopic click. It is getting late or early, depending on how you measure the night. The unremarkable beauty of these final miles is in the lack of urgency. The house is close now, just over the next ridge, but you find yourself wanting to linger in this moving sanctuary. You want to stay in this world of glowing green needles, warm vinyl, and the steady rhythmic pulse of the engine. The road is a ribbon of silver under the moon. Every curve reveals a new texture, the rough, weathered wood of a tobacco barn, the shimmering surface of a farm pond, the long, rhythmic shadows cast by a row of poplars. The car is a time machine, carrying you through a landscape that hasn't changed in 50 years, a world of iron, oak, and honest, heavy silence. We are almost there. The final ridge is ahead, and the valley is opening up. The air is at its coldest, the engine is at its smoothest, and the journey is reaching its peak. The final turn is the most familiar. You feel it in your arms before the car even rounds the bend. The specific weight of the steering as the tires leave the county asphalt and find the packed earth and gravel of the home stretch. The headlights, which have been scanning the wide, indigo world for hours, now narrow their focus, illuminating the familiar trunks of the maples that line the driveway. They look like old friends standing in the dark, their branches reaching over the car as if to welcome the iron traveller back to its post. As the car pulls into the driveway, the soundscape changes from the shh of the open road to the intimate percussive crunch of gravel. It's a slow, deliberate sound, crush, snap, crush, that signals the end of the journey. You aren't a traveller anymore. You are home. The house stands ahead, a dark silhouette against the star-dusted sky, its windows reflecting the amber glow of your headlights like deep, silent eyes. You bring the car to a stop in front of the garage. For a moment, you just sit there. You don't turn the key. You don't unbuckle the heavy, chrome-latched seatbelt. You simply exist in the in-between. The engine is still loping, a steady baritone heartbeat that has been your companion through every mile of the night. The dashboard lights, those soft emerald jewels, glow with a quiet pride, having guided you through the fog and the river valley. The heater is still blowing that dry, toasted air, making the cabin feel like a small, insulated bubble of 1975 held within the freezing stillness of 2026. Then you reach for the ignition. It's a physical act, a heavy, spring-loaded turn of the metal key. The silence that follows the engine's cut-off is absolute and startling. It has a physical weight to it. 1 second, the air was filled with the rhythmic vibration of 8 cylinders. The next, it is replaced by the profound, hollow quiet of the rural night. But the car isn't truly silent yet. As the engine begins to shed its heat, it starts to talk. You hear the rhythmic tink, ping, tink of the exhaust manifold contracting in the cold air. A series of microscopic metallic adjustments that sound like a tiny hammer striking a silver anvil. You reach for the door handle and pull. The latch moves with a greased, mechanical click-thud, and the heavy steel door swings open. As you step out, your boots find the gravel, and the cold air of the valley rushes in to meet you. It's a sharp, bracing cold that smells of frozen grass and the faint, metallic tang of the cooling car. You walk to the front of the vehicle, and you can feel the warmth radiating from the radiator, a soft, invisible wave of heat that smells of hot iron and road dust. The garage door is a masterpiece of heavy industry. It's a solid, multi-paneled wooden door with a T-shaped handle of tarnished chrome. You have to bend your knees and put your weight into it. As you turn the handle, the internal rods move with a gritty, metallic scrape, and then you lift. The door rises on its heavy, coiled springs with a rhythmic creak-clatter whoosh, a sound that echoes off the interior rafters of the garage. Inside, the space smells of old tires, seasoned timber, and the dry, powdery aroma of concrete dust. You pull the car into its stall, the headlights illuminating the pegboards and the silent hanging tools of the workbench. When you turn the lights off this time, the darkness is complete. You step out, close the heavy car door, a final satisfying thump that rings through the rafters, and walk toward the house. Behind you, the station wagon sits in the dark, its chrome bumpers catching a stray glint of starlight. It is cooling, settling, and resting. The journey is over, the long way home has been travelled, and the sanctuary of the house is waiting. The keys jingle softly in your pocket, a tiny musical reminder of the miles behind you. Everything is still. The road is empty. The car is home. The night is perfect. Stepping from the garage into the kitchen is a transition between two worlds. The raw, expansive cold of the river valley is replaced by the stagnant warmth of the home, a heat that smells of floor wax, toasted bread, and the faint, sweet scent of the fruit bowl on the counter. Your legs still carry the phantom vibration of the V8 engine. As you walk across the linoleum, you feel a slight sea leg sensation, as if the earth is still moving at 55 miles per hour beneath your boots. The kitchen is a gallery of shadows. The only light comes from the small hooded bulb over the stove, casting a warm amber glow over the avocado green appliances. It is a heavy silence here, different from the airy quiet of the wayside rest. This is a silence made of solid objects, the cast-iron frying pan resting on the burner, the heavy ceramic cookie jar, and the thick, leaded glass of the windows. You move toward the refrigerator, a massive, rounded sentinel of white enamel. The handle is a thick, horizontal bar of chrome that feels ice-cold in your hand. When you pull it, the vacuum seal gives a deep, pressurized thud hiss, and a flood of pale, clinical light spills across the floor, revealing the geometric patterns of the gold and cream linoleum. The motor, triggered by the loss of cold, kicks on with a confident, mechanical thrum that vibrates through the floorboards, a domestic echo of the car engine you just left behind. You reach for the milk. In 1975, it isn't in a plastic jug, it's in a heavy glass bottle with a foil cap. The glass is slick with condensation, and as you lift it, you feel the honest weight of the liquid. You pour a glass, a thick, amber-tinted tumbler, and the sound of the milk hitting the bottom is a deep resonant glug that seems to amplify the silence of the rest of the house. Standing there in the dark, sipping the cold milk, you are an observer of your own life. You see the mudroom door where the car keys now rest on a brass hook, their mission complete. You see the hallway leading toward the bedrooms where the rest of the family is in the velvet grip of sleep. The long way home wasn't just about the miles. It was about this specific moment of re-entry, the quiet clarity that comes after the road has washed away the noise of the day. The clock on the wall, a plastic sunburst with a hum of its own, sweeps its second hand in a smooth, silent arc. You realize that while you were out navigating the river mist and the iron bridges, the house was here, holding its breath, waiting for the rhythmic crunch of gravel that meant the circle was closed. Everything in the kitchen is calibrated for rest. The pilot light on the stove glows with a tiny blue-hearted flame. The water pipes in the walls give a soft metallic tink as they cool. The journey is finally settling into your bones. You finish the milk, place the glass in the sink with a soft clink, and prepare to leave the kitchen to its shadows. The road is done. The machine is cold. The house is safe. The night is reaching its final, most beautiful depth. Leaving the kitchen behind is like leaving the last outpost of the day. As you step out of the amber glow of the stove light and into the long dark corridor of the hallway, the world narrows. This is the connective tissue of the home, a narrow canyon of wood paneling and shadowed frames that carries the quietest secrets of the night. Your body is still oscillating with the rhythm of the highway. Even here, standing on the solid, unmoving floorboards, you can feel the phantom sway of the station wagon as it navigated those river valley curves. It's a physical echo, a reminder that the road doesn't just end when you turn off the engine. It stays in your muscles, a rhythmic hum that vibrates through your joints. The air in the hallway is cooler than the kitchen, a still and patient atmosphere that smells of old cedar, lemon oil polish, and the dry, paper-scented history of the wallpaper. In the 1970s, a hallway wasn't just a passage, it was a gallery. In the dim, silvery light filtering through the high transom windows, you can see the shapes of the family photographs, heavy, dark wood frames with thick, textured mats. They hang like silent witnesses to your return, their glass surfaces catching a stray glint of moonlight and reflecting the dark shape of the man who just conquered the miles. You walk slowly, your wool socks making a soft, dry shh against the polished oak floorboards. Every few steps, a board gives a slow, musical creak, a sound of the house expanding and contracting, a mechanical adjustment to the cooling night air. It is a friendly sound, a predictable percussion that tells you the structure is sound and the foundation is deep. You stop for a moment by the linen closet, the door of which is made of solid, heavy pine. The scent that drifts from the cracks in the doorframe is a masterpiece of domestic comfort, a thick, heady mixture of starch, mothballs, and the sweet herbal aroma of dried lavender sachets tucked between the heavy flannel sheets. The unremarkable beauty of this moment lies in its stillness. After hours of high-velocity transit, of wind noise, engine roar, and the rhythmic thrum of tires, this absolute lack of momentum feels like a weight. You find yourself leaning against the wall for a second, the cool, textured wallpaper pressing against your shoulder. You look back toward the mudroom door, and for a fleeting moment, you can almost see the car sitting out there in the garage, its chrome bumpers still warm, its engine still making those tiny metallic ping sounds as it sheds the heat of the river road. At the end of the hall stands the grandfather clock, a towering monument of cherry wood and polished brass. Its pendulum moves in a slow, hypnotic arc. Swish, 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 a sound that is deeper and more authoritative than any other clock in the house. It doesn't just measure the time, it commands it. You can hear the internal gears stir, a complex metallic snick, as they prepare for the quarter-hour chime. It is a technology of gravity and gears, a grounding force that pulls the chaotic energy of the road trip back into the orderly rhythm of the home. The acoustics of the hallway are unique. Because it is a confined space, it funnels the sounds of the rest of the house toward you. You can hear the distant, liquid gurgle of the pipes in the walls, the low-frequency whoosh of the furnace blower in the basement, and the soft, rhythmic breathing of the family behind the closed bedroom doors. It is a symphony of safety, a layered soundscape that tells you the long way home was the right choice. You reach the door to the den, the electronic hearth, where the journey officially settles. You pause with your hand on the cold brass knob, feeling the weight of the night and the miles. The road is now a memory, a series of amber tunnels and iron bridges held in the back of your mind. The house is holding you now, its walls thick and its shadows long. Everything is in its place. The machine is resting, the hallway is silent, the night is complete. You step into the den, and the transition is complete. If the hallway was a tunnel of transition, the den is the destination, the final sanctuary where the long way home officially dissolves into the now. The air here is warmer and heavier, a thick atmosphere that smells of the dying oak fire, the sweet earthy scent of old pipe tobacco trapped in the wool rug, and the distinct metallic warmth of the television tubes cooling in the corner. It is a room of textures, the rough grain of the wood panelling, the soft looped fibres of the avocado carpet, and the cold, smooth glass of the window pane that looks out toward the driveway where the machine still sits in the dark. You move toward the side table, and your hand reaches into your pocket. The keys, those heavy notched pieces of brass and steel, feel warm from your body heat. As you pull them out and place them on the mahogany surface, the sound is a bright, musical jingle clink that seems to ring out in the silence of the house. There they lie in a small pool of moonlight, the ignition key, the trunk key, and the house key, all held together by a thick leather fob that smells of the road. They are the physical proof of the journey, the tools that just navigated the river bridges and the forest lanes, now rendered silent and stationary. The recliner waits for you, a massive, overstuffed throne of naugahyde and steel springs. As you sit, the vinyl gives a long, pressurized whoosh of escaping air, and the chair seems to mold itself to your frame, absorbing the phantom vibrations of the highway that are still humming in your muscles. You reach for the mechanical handle on the side, a solid bar of wood and iron, and with a rhythmic thud-clack, the footrest kicks out, elevating your legs and finally, truly, ending the momentum of the day. From this low perspective, the den is a landscape of shadows. The fireplace is a bed of glowing orange coals, a shifting topography of heat and silver ash. Occasionally, a single spark will flare up, a tiny star that illuminates the room for a heartbeat before winking out into the grey. You can hear the fire breathing, a soft rhythmic hiss, and the occasional pop of a cooling ember. It is a grounding, ancient sound that makes the miles you just travelled feel like a distant dream. You look toward the window. Through the gap in the heavy floral drapes, you can see the faint, silver silhouette of the station wagon sitting in the driveway. It looks like a sleeping beast. You know that even now, in the absolute silence of the yard, the engine is still shedding its heat, the iron block making those microscopic ping sounds as it contracts in the frost. The chrome bumpers catch the moonlight, reflecting the indigo sky and the quiet elms. There is a profound sense of gratitude for the machine, the iron, the glass, and the rubber that held the road and brought you back to this specific, warm chair. The acoustics of the den at this hour are the most intimate in the home. You hear the rhythmic, low-frequency thrum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, a domestic heartbeat that tells you the world is orderly. You hear the distant, musical tink of a water pipe cooling in the wall. And then, the most unremarkable sound of all, the steady, rhythmic tick, tick, tick of the alarm clock on the mantel. It is a mechanical pulse that paces your breathing, slowing your heart rate until it matches the stillness of the room. Everything in the den is calibrated for the long rest. The heavy wool afghan on the back of the chair is within reach, its hand-knitted ridges promising a weight that will ground you even further into the cushions. The scent of the room is at its peak, the smell of home, of safety, and of the end of the road. The journey is no longer outside. It is a memory stored in the warmth of your bones. The road is empty now, the river bridge is silent, the small town is asleep under its yellow blinker, and you are here, in the amber glow, watched over by the cooling tubes and the dying fire. The long way home has reached its final, most perfect second. The world has reached a state of total, heavy equilibrium. The long way home is no longer a sequence of miles or a series of visual landmarks. It has become a physical weight in the room, a presence that settles into the corners of the den like a cooling fog. You are sitting in the deep well of the night, that stretch of hours between 3 and 4 in the morning, where time seems to lose its forward momentum and becomes a vast, unmoving lake of indigo stillness. The recliner has become your entire universe. The Naugahyde, once cool and stiff, has now absorbed the warmth of your body, softening until it feels less like a chair and more like a protective shell. You are held in a state of suspended animation, where the only movement in the room is the microscopic dance of the dust motes in the dying orange light of the hearth. Your muscles have finally let go of the road. The phantom vibration of the steering wheel has dissolved, leaving your hands feeling heavy and honest as they rest on the padded armrests. The silence of the house at this hour is layered. It isn't a lack of sound, but a symphony of very small, very specific mechanical events. You hear the quickening of the house, the way the old wood and the heavy plaster react to the deep chill outside. A floorboard in the hallway, 3 rooms away, gives a slow, rhythmic creak pop, a sound of seasoned timber adjusting its weight. It is a sound of the home's integrity, a reminder that while you sleep, the structure is working, holding the roof against the sky. Through the window, the station wagon has finally reached its thermal limit. The pinging of the exhaust has stopped. The engine block is now cold, a massive anchor of iron and steel sitting in the dark garage, its journey officially absorbed into the history of the driveway. You can see the frost starting to bloom on the corners of the window pane, tiny, intricate forests of white ice that grow in the dark, creeping toward the center of the glass. It is a visual record of the temperature dropping, a sign that the valley is at its coldest point. The scent of the den has reached a mellow, grounded peak. The sharp aroma of the burning oak has faded into the soft, sweet smell of cold ash and charcoal. Beneath it is the scent of the room itself, the dry, woody aroma of the pine paneling, the faint, waxy smell of the furniture polish, and the unmistakable, dusty electric smell of the console television's cabinet. These are the scents of a boomer's sanctuary, a collection of odors that signal safety and arrival more effectively than any words could. You reach for the Afghan, the heavy, hand-knitted blanket that has been draped over the back of the chair. As you pull it over your lap, you feel the specific, rhythmic texture of the wool, the peaks and valleys of the knit that trap the heat and provide a physical grounding pressure. It smells faintly of cedar from the linen closet, a dry and spicy fragrance that cuts through the cool air of the room. This is the heavy rest. The weight of the wool, the warmth of the vinyl, and the steady, rhythmic tick-tick-tick of the clock create a sensory tripod that holds you in place. Outside, the world is in a state of absolute stasis. The river you crossed an hour ago is a silent, moving mirror in the dark. The iron bridge is cold. The small town's yellow blinker is still pulsing in the empty square, a rhythmic light reflecting off dark glass and silent brick. The road we took, the long way home, is empty now, its white lines hidden in the indigo mist, waiting for the first blue light of the morning to reveal its path once again. But that morning is still a world away. For now, there is only the deep stall. There is only the warmth of the den, the weight of the blanket, and the knowledge that the machine is home. The journey has been internalized. The miles are now part of your rest. Everything is calibrated. Everything is heavy. The night is holding its breath, and you are exactly where you are meant to be. The house has entered the hour of the ghost. It is that time, deep in the pre-dawn, where the physical boundaries of the rooms seem to soften, and the memory of the road begins to play across the backs of your eyelids. You are still in the recliner, the heavy wool Afghan providing a grounded sensory anchor, but your mind has drifted back out through the garage door, past the cooling iron of the station wagon, and onto the silver ribbon of the highway. Even with your eyes closed, you see it. The rhythmic, hypnotic flash of the white lines being swallowed by the hood of the car. It is the phantom road, a persistent visual echo of the hundreds of miles you just navigated, a testament to the power of the journey. In this state of light dreaming, every curve you took through the river valley is replayed in the muscles of your neck and shoulders. You feel the ghost of the steering wheel's thin plastic rim beneath your palms, the way it vibrated with the singing of the iron bridge and the crunch of the wayside gravel. Your feet, resting heavily on the recliner's footrest, still feel the phantom pressure of the accelerator and the solid, mechanical resistance of the brake pedal. It is as if the car hasn't truly stopped. It is still moving through you, its V8 heartbeat now synchronized with your own resting pulse. The silence of the den is suddenly punctuated by a sound from the depths of the home, the 4 a.m. cycle. It starts with a faint, metallic clink of a relay in the basement, followed by a low, rising whoosh as the furnace blower engages. This isn't just a mechanical event, it is the house breathing. You can hear the warm air moving through the ductwork, a dry, rhythmic hiss that travels through the walls and emerges from the floor vent near your chair. The scent of the heat follows, that dry, toasted aroma of dust on the coils, a smell that is the very definition of 1970s winter safety. It mingles with the fading scent of the wood smoke and the cold, spicy aroma of the cedar-scented blanket, creating a sensory blanket that wraps around you. You are drifting now, in that in-between space where the past and the present are indistinguishable. You are back on that iron truss bridge, hearing the high-pitched whir-hum-whir of the tires on the metal grating. You see the red fox at the edge of the wood, its intelligent, glowing eyes watching you pass with a silent, wild grace. You smell the wet river mist and the cold, damp stone of the valley. These aren't just memories. They are visceral hooks that your mind uses to process the sheer weight of the night. The unremarkable beauty of this hour is the total absence of the future. In the den at 4:15 in the morning, the morning's responsibilities are a world away. There is no doing, only being. You are a part of the house's internal mechanics, as stationary as the walnut console of the television or the heavy brass of the grandfather clock. The house is a fortress of wood, plaster and iron, protecting you from the frost that is currently etching its way across the window panes. Outside, in the garage, the station wagon is now as cold as the concrete beneath it. The pinging of the manifold has long since ceased, and the massive iron block of the engine has reached a state of frozen rest. The chrome bumpers are coated in a fine, silver-blue veil of frost, looking like ancient artifacts in the dim light of the moon. The car is no longer a machine of motion. It is a sleeping giant, waiting for the turn of the key to wake its iron heart once more. But for you, the rest is deepening. The phantom road is fading, replaced by the heavy, velvet dark of the den. The rhythmic tick-tick of the mantel clock is the only measurement of your existence, a steady, mechanical pulse that matches the swish of the grandfather clock in the hall. The house is holding you. The road has been travelled. The long way home has served its purpose, washing away the noise of the day and leaving you in this state of pure, analog grace. You sink deeper into the vinyl, the Afghan pulled up to your chin. The furnace continues its whoosh, the heat rising around you in a soft, invisible cloud. Everything is in its place. The keys are on the table, the milk is in the fridge, the car is in the garage. The road is empty, the rest is absolute, the night is perfect. You are home. The deep stall of the night has begun to dissolve, not into light, but into a different kind of darkness. We have reached the blue hour, that spectral window of time where the indigo of the night begins to lose its velvet depth and takes on a cold, transparent quality. In the den, the shadows are no longer absolute. They have become a series of soft, charcoal grey layers, revealing the outlines of the room that were hidden just an hour ago. The phantom road has finally vanished from the back of your eyelids, leaving behind a profound, weary clarity. You are still held in the embrace of the Naugahyde recliner, but the room feels different. The air has reached its crispest point, a sharpness that even the furnace's 4 a.m. cycle cannot entirely banish. You can see your own breath in the dim light, a faint, rhythmic puff of silver mist that vanishes into the shadows. It is the most unremarkable evidence of life in the silent house, a steady, biological pulse that matches the mechanical tick-tick-tick of the mantel clock. Outside the window, the station wagon is a ghost of steel and chrome. The frost has now completely claimed the windshield, turning the glass into a solid sheet of white lace that glows with a faint internal light. The machine looks older in this light, an artifact of a different era, resting in a world that is about to wake up. You think of the miles it covered tonight, the river bridges, the small town squares, the gravel turnouts, and you realize that the car is now as much a part of the landscape as the maple trees or the frozen grass. It has shed its identity as a vehicle of motion and become a stationary anchor of memory. Then, a new sound breaks the silence, the morning quickening. It's a distant, muffled thump from the end of the driveway, followed by the low, rhythmic crunch of a slow-moving vehicle. The morning paper has arrived. It is a sound of the world's return, a signal that the long way home is officially over and the new day is making its first tentative appearance. But here in the den, you are still protected. The heavy walls, the thick drapes, and the weight of the wool afghan create a barrier against the coming morning. The acoustics of the blue hour are the most delicate of all. You can hear the first solitary chirp of a bird in the oak tree, a tentative, questioning sound that hangs in the cold air like a silver thread. It is followed by the long, low-frequency thrum of a car on the distant highway, a sound that is so faint it feels like a memory of the road rather than a reality. These sounds don't disturb the peace, they highlight it. They are the pattern interrupters that tell your brain the night has been successful. The watch is over, the house is safe, and the rest is complete. The scent of the room is shifting too. The dry, toasted smell of the furnace is being joined by the crisp, ozone-heavy scent of the morning air leaking through the window seals. It's a clean mineral smell that tells you the frost is at its peak. Beneath it all is the faint, lingering aroma of the coffee from the thermos, a reminder of the wayside rest and the miles of indigo road. You feel a final heavy surrender taking hold. The phantom road is gone, the machine is cold, and the paper is on the drive. The unremarkable beauty of this moment is that you no longer need to observe it. The house is holding itself together. The grandfather clock in the hall gives a soft, internal snick, preparing for the 5 a.m. chime, but you won't be awake to hear it. You sink the final inch into the cushions, the vinyl whooshing one last time as it settles. The weight of the night is now the weight of sleep. The road was long, the car was steady, and the home is absolute. The blue light is growing, turning the silver frost into a pale, ghostly white. The shadows are retreating, the world is coming back. But for now, just for this final, perfect second, the silence is total. Everything is steady, everything is home. The fire in the hearth has reached its most honest state. It is no longer a collection of dancing flames and crackling logs, but a landscape of shifting, glowing topography, a valley of orange and silver ash that radiates a deep subterranean heat. As you sit in the silence of the den, you can hear the wood breathing its final sighs. Every few minutes, a coal will settle with a soft, musical clink, or a piece of charred oak will surrender to gravity, crumbling into the grey dust with a sound like a whispered secret. It is a grounding, ancient rhythm that matches the steady, slow tempo of your own heart. From your position in the recliner, you observe the way the light from the coals interacts with the room. It doesn't illuminate, it paints. The orange glow catches the edges of the wood panelling, turning the grain into a series of golden rivers and dark canyons. It reflects off the glass of the television screen, creating a ghostly, flickering map of the room that seems to vibrate with the cooling of the tubes. The unremarkable beauty of this moment is that nothing is happening, yet everything is alive with the physics of cooling and rest. The air in the den is at its thickest now. It smells of the dying fire, that sharp carbon scent of oak and ash, but beneath it is the deeper, more permanent smell of the home. The dry wood, the wool of the rugs, and the faint, sweet aroma of the pipe tobacco that has lived in these walls for decades. You pull the afghan closer, the heavy wool providing a tactile anchor that keeps you from floating away into the memories of the river bridge and the iron lanes. You can feel the weight of the night in your eyelids, a physical pressure that is the final gift of the long way home. Outside, the silence of the valley is absolute. The station wagon is now a frozen statue in the garage, its chrome bumpers catching the first microscopic hint of the pre-dawn blue. The journey is officially a part of the past, held in the cold metal of the car and the warm memory of your mind. You are the guardian of this stillness, the only witness to the hearth's final breath. Everything is steady. The coals are dimming. The house is holding you. The room has entered its final coldest phase before the dawn. It is a period of high physics, where the heat of the day has been entirely surrendered, and the house must rely on its own mass, its brick, its timber, and its plaster, to hold the night at bay. In the dim, charcoal light of the den, you can see the results of this struggle written on the glass of the window pane. The frost is no longer just a haze on the corners. It has become an intricate, crystalline forest that grows with a slow, relentless beauty. It spreads across the pane in feathers of ice, delicate silver ferns that capture the pale moonlight and turn the window into a translucent shield. From your seat in the recliner, you watch the way the frost reacts to your own presence. Every exhale, every slow, rhythmic breath of warm air sends a microscopic wave of moisture toward the glass, where it is instantly claimed by the cold and added to the patterns. It is the most unremarkable collaboration between the man and the house, a visual record of your survival in the center of the winter valley. The glass itself seems to hum with the tension of the temperature differential, the toasted air of the furnace on the inside pressing against the sub-zero indigo of the outside. The house begins to sing under the pressure. This is the cold snap contraction, a series of mechanical events that define the soul of a 1970s home. You hear a sudden, sharp crack from the attic, a sound like a dry branch snapping, as a heavy oak rafter adjusts its position in the freezing dark. It is followed by a rhythmic tink-tink-tink from the baseboard heaters, a metallic percussion of copper pipes expanding and contracting as the hot water makes its final rounds. These aren't just noises. They are auditory anchors that tell you the structure is alive, reacting and holding. You lean your head back against the headrest, and the Naugahyde makes a soft, pressurized creak that sounds like a weary sigh. The scent of the room has shifted into a deeper, more mineral register. The warmth of the fire has been replaced by the cold, dry scent of the house, the smell of stone, the dry aroma of the attic insulation, and the faint ozonic tang of the frost itself. It is a clean, honest smell that makes you appreciate the thickness of the walls and the weight of the wool afghan pulled up to your chest. Your mind drifts back to the station wagon in the garage. You imagine the frost forming on its chrome hood ornament, turning the little winged icon into a sculpture of white lace. The car is as silent as a tomb now, its V8 heart cold and its vinyl interior holding the static chill of the night. The long way home feels like a story from a different century, a memory of motion that has no place in this absolute stillness. The white lines, the river bridges, and the yellow blinkers are all locked away in the indigo haze, waiting for the sun to give them back their reality. The acoustics of the den are now so sensitive that you can hear the internal mechanisms of the house settling into the deep freeze. There is a liquid gurgle from the radiator. Is a sound of heavy water moving through iron veins. There is the distant, rhythmic swish of the grandfather clock's pendulum, which seems to have slowed its pace to match the thickening of the air, and beneath it all, the most unremarkable sound of the entire night, the steady, low-frequency thrum of the world's own momentum, a vibration you feel in the floorboards more than you hear in your ears. You are the only observer left in the valley. The fox has found its den. The freight train has long since crossed the county line. The town square is empty, its brick storefronts holding the silence of the frost. You are the night watchman of the den, the final vigil before the blue light of the morning claims the world. Everything is grounded. The ice is thick. The house is solid. The journey is complete. The room is no longer a solid block of black ink. We have entered the threshold of the blue hour, that fragile, spectral bridge between the absolute sanctuary of the night and the first, undeniable stirrings of the world outside. In the den, the shadows are losing their velvet depth. They are becoming charcoal grey layers, revealing the soft, curved silhouettes of the room that were hidden just an hour ago. The wood panelling, which had been a dark mystery, now shows its grain, a series of vertical lines that look like the rain-streaked windows of the station wagon. Even with your eyes heavy, you can sense the shift in the atmosphere. The air feels thinner, sharper, and more expectant. You are still held in the embrace of the Naugahyde, but the phantom vibration of the road has finally, completely, been replaced by the physical weight of the house. Your body feels like a lead casting poured into the mould of the chair, a total surrender to gravity. The heavy wool afghan is no longer just a blanket. It is a landscape of texture, the ridges of the knit feeling like the expansion joints of the bridge you crossed in Part 4. Every time you shift your weight, the vinyl makes a soft, rhythmic creak, a domestic echo of the car's suspension settling in the garage. Outside the frosted window, the world is beginning to breathe again. The absolute indigo is giving way to a pale, ghostly charcoal blue. In this light, the station wagon in the driveway looks like a sleeping whale, its chrome details catching the first microscopic hint of the coming sun. The frost on its roof is a thick, white crystalline fur, a record of the river valley's deep freeze. The machine is a part of the yard now, as stationary and honest as the oak trees. The long way home has been fully digested by the night. The white lines and the yellow blinkers are now just stories you tell yourself as you drift closer to the morning. The acoustics of the house are changing too. The deep, subterranean thrum of the furnace has stopped for its final pre-dawn rest, leaving a silence so profound you can hear the small sounds of the valley. A single distant engine ignites somewhere miles away, a neighbour starting their truck for a long haul, the sound a faint, rhythmic drone that carries through the cold, thin air like a thread of copper wire. It is a signal of the world's return, a reminder that the unremarkable day is coming. But here, in the den, you are protected by the in-between. The clock on the mantel continues its steady mechanical tick-tick-tick, a rhythmic pulse that keeps the time from rushing forward. The scent of the den is at its most complex. It is a mixture of the cold ash in the hearth, the dry warmth of the radiator pipes, and the sharp, ozonic tang of the frost on the glass. Beneath it all is the faint, metallic scent of the car keys resting on the table, a lingering aroma of brass and road oil that ties you to the machine in the garage. It is a sensory map of your survival, a collection of smells that say, you are home, you are safe, the road is over. You feel a final, heavy surrender taking hold of your limbs. The blue light is whispering to the room, turning the silver frost on the pane into a pale, translucent white. The shadows are retreating into the corners, their work done. The house is holding itself together, its heavy timbers and brick walls providing a fortress against the coming light. You are the night watchman who has reached the end of his shift, the guardian of the long way home finally handing the keys over to the morning. Everything is steady, the blue light is soft, the house is silent, the rest is absolute. The light in the den has undergone a subtle chemical change. It is no longer the cold, transparent charcoal blue of the earlier hour. It has begun to take on a microscopic grain, a texture of light that suggests the sun is pushing against the horizon miles away in the river valley. This is the golden grain, the very first hint of warmth that isn't heat, but colour. It catches the dust motes that have been suspended in the still air of the room, turning them into a slow-moving galaxy of silver and gold that drifts between you and the wood-panelled walls. You watch them with a weary, peaceful focus, a visual pattern interrupter that keeps your mind from racing while your body remains a lead weight in the recliner. The phantom road has been entirely replaced by the geography of the den. You are no longer navigating by white lines and river bridges, but by the textures of your own sanctuary. Your fingers, resting on the armrests, trace the microscopic valleys in the Naugahyde, a tactile map of every hour you've spent in this chair. The heavy wool afghan has become your landscape, its hand-knitted ridges feeling like the rolling hills of the county line you crossed hours ago. Every time you take a slow, rhythmic breath, you feel the weight of the blanket rise and fall, a domestic tide that signals the absolute end of the high-velocity world. Outside, the station wagon is undergoing its own quiet transformation. The frost on the chrome bumpers is no longer a dull white. It has begun to sparkle with a faint, crystalline brilliance as the light thins. The car is a part of the morning now, a stationary monument to the long way home. You can almost feel the cold metal of the door handle through the walls of the house, a phantom chill that makes the dry, toasted air of the den feel even more like a miracle of 1970s engineering. The machine is done, its V8 heart cold, its mission of safety complete. The acoustics of the house are reaching their most delicate peak. The furnace has finished its final morning cycle, leaving the air perfectly still and silent. You can hear the small sounds of the valley waking up, the rhythmic distant crunch of a neighbour's tyres on a frozen gravel drive, a sound that carries through the cold air like a drumbeat. You hear the first real song of a bird, no longer a tentative chirp, but a clear musical signal of the light's return. These sounds act as hooks, pulling you gently away from the night and toward the final surrender of sleep. The scent of the room is shifting toward the morning earth. The smell of the cold ash in the fireplace is being joined by the crisp metallic aroma of the frost on the glass and the faint, sweet scent of the old pine panelling warming in the new light. Beneath it all is the lingering, oily scent of the car keys, a metallic perfume that anchors you to the memory of the road. It is a sensory archive of the trip, a collection of smells that say, "The vigil is over, the house is safe, you can let go now." You feel the heavy physical pull of the first dream. The blue hour is gone, replaced by the golden grain. The shadows are no longer mysteries, they are just shapes on the floorboards retreating from the coming sun. You are the night watchman who has seen the dawn, the traveller who has seen the destination, and the man who has found his rest in the heart of the home. Everything is steady. The light is warm. The house is absolute. The rest is final. The night has performed its final silent sleight of hand. The golden grain has thickened into a true singular beam of light that cuts through the gap in the heavy floral drapes, stretching across the dark wood panelling like a glowing finger. It is a light that doesn't just illuminate, it reveals the absolute stillness of the world we have just travelled through. You watch as this beam finds the side table, creeping slowly, almost imperceptibly, toward the car keys. When it finally touches them, the brass and chrome ignite with a sudden soft brilliance, casting long rhythmic shadows across the mahogany surface. The keys, once the tools of high-velocity transit through the river mist and the iron bridges, are now just silent artifacts of the long way home, resting in the sanctuary of the morning. From the deep well of the recliner, you observe the micro-events of the home's awakening. In the kitchen, the electric percolator has begun its rhythmic internal song, a steady glub-glub, glub-glub that acts as a domestic metronome. It is a sound of continuity, a signal that the house is preparing for the day even as it holds you in the final, most precious seconds of the night. The scent of the first coffee begins to drift through the hallway, a warm, roasted aroma that mingles with the fading scent of the wood smoke and the cold, ozonic tang of the frost on the glass. It is the scent of a safe tomorrow, a sensory hook that tells your brain the watch is officially over and the vigil is complete. The physical sensation of the phantom road has been entirely replaced by the absolute grounding of the chair. You feel the heavy wool afghan pressing against your chest, its weight a comforting reminder of the solid, unmoving earth beneath the house. Every muscle in your body has reached its final thermal state. You are as stationary as the brick of the hearth or the iron of the stove. The tension of the steering wheel, the vibration of the tyres on the iron bridge, and the rhythmic pulse of the yellow blinker have all been absorbed into the deep, velvet dark of your mind. Outside, the station wagon is a study in stillness in chrome. The first golden light catches the frost on the winged hood ornament, turning it into a sculpture of fire and ice. The car is no longer a machine of the road, it is a monument to the arrival. You know that beneath that frosted hood the iron engine block is finally truly cold, its internal fluids at rest, its mechanical heart waiting for the next turn of the key. But that turn is a world away. For now, the machine is home, and so are you. The acoustics of the den have reached their final, most melodic stage. The grandfather clock gives a soft internal snick thump, the mechanical preparation for the 6 a.m. chime. It is a sound of gears and gravity, an analog heartbeat that has paced your entire journey from the wayside rest to the kitchen midnight. You hear the first real movement of the world outside, the rhythmic, distant clack of a mail slot, the soft crunch of a neighbour's boots on the frozen pavement. These sounds don't wake you. They act as a lullaby, A series of pattern interrupters that tell your subconscious the world is functioning as it should. A final, heavy wave of sleep pulls at you, more powerful than the momentum of any highway. You feel your eyelids drift shut for the last time, the golden grain of the room turning into a soft internal amber glow. The long way home is no longer a story being told, it is a state of being. You are the silence in the den, you are the warmth in the wool, you are the quiet strength of the house holding back the morning. Everything is in its place. The keys are glowing, the coffee is perking, the car is at rest, the night has been successful, the road is empty, the home is absolute, the rest is yours.